It is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on anime from the winter 2016 season, and using and reviewing them, and then telling you how to use them in your BESM game. So, in this episode, of course, it's the review section of it. In the next episode, talking about using them in your BESM game. But let's talk about the three that I'm going to be reviewing today. Ao no Kanata no for Rhythm, Ajin, and Schwarzenmarken. So let's start with that one, Schwarzenmarken. Schwarzenmarken is German for black mark. Now, it is set in the Muv-Luv universe, and it actually is a prequel to Muv-Luv alternate, set 18 years before then. Sort of 18 years, but also in an alternate universe, because Muv-Luv gets into alternate universes, so that's a little bit of a headache, and I don't want to dive into the entirety of the series, but in and of itself, it doesn't deal with a lot of these things. What it deals with is the invasion of the Beta. Beta are these like monsters which devour people and swarm over the land, kind of like locusts, and they're sort of alien-ish. They're various different forms with different abilities, and the series actually is all about, you know, this war in East Germany. So it takes place in East Germany. So as I said, it's all about the battle against the Beta and how they are traveling, of course, west. And they're trying to go through East Germany, heading towards West Germany. And of course, it's about these TSF pilots. TSF are these giant mecha which can be used to fight the Beta. And this is the best way to fight the Beta. Of course, the war is still technically losing. It's like a battle of attrition that they can't really win. They can only hold out on. But we don't really get into that entire aspect of it. The series actually centers around the 666th Squadron, the Schwarzenmarken, or the Black Mark, as the series is named after. This squadron is basically on the front line. They have some of the best technology for their TSFs, and they are dealing with the Beta and battling it. But that's not the only thing that's going on. There's also dealing with the fact that the world and West Germany want to get involved in this fight because East Germany is sort of like the last line of defense. But on the other hand, also it's dealing with the fact that East Germany is very communist during this time. It's taking place, you know, after World War II, before the unification. So it's a very sort of communist country. They have to deal with secret police and people reporting their neighbors and things like that. So there's this always underlying, you know, of like no one can trust each other, but they have to work together to defeat the Beta. And it's a very interesting storyline set in this universe. So it's an action. They're always battling, and it's a lot of fights. They do have some fights between TSFs here and there because of various reasons that they have to get into them. Mostly it's battles against the Beta, fighting them out. There's always seemingly some kind of fight going on. Of course, it is a mecha anime. It has to deal with the fact that they use the TSF's giant mecha to fight the Beta. And I would also call it a military anime more than anything else. There were a couple other words that I thought I might be able to bring in, but I think military breaks it down very well, because it is sort of a military organization based on it, and they deal with the structures of the military and the structures of the military of this time almost. That this is an East German military operation, oftentimes, and they have some of the politics of the military of this kind of era. Now I rate this one a 3. It's a pretty decent series. It was very good. I enjoyed watching it through the run. So let's talk about the next series, Ajin. The Ajin series focuses around Kei. Kei is this boy who gets into a car accident and finds out he's one of these immortal Ajins. Ajins are these creatures that have been appearing around the world that people kind of fear. They're looked at as very like dangerous, kind of deadly, because they are effectively immortals. They can't die from fighting. People can, you know, you can chop them a bit and they come back. Now we do dive into that they get more abilities, not just a seemingly immortality, but that gets into later in the season. So Kei is discovered, and he's basically then wanted by the government, and only his best friend is the only one to help him try to escape. It turns out that the government says they do nice things to Ajin, but they really kind of do inhumane experiments on them very often. And this has caused some problems, as there's a group of basically rebel Ajin that are trying to fight against the government and go against them. Kei actually wants nothing to do with it. He kind of seems to have this lack of empathy that we learn as when he sort of escapes from his brush with the government. That he actually has these own goals that he's really working towards. That he probably suffers some kind of like antisocial personality disorder that just makes him not kind of work with people the same way or see things the same way. So that even after some of the horrible experiences he goes through, he still sort of remains himself, unlike some of the other Ajin, who kind of go very violent and angry. And there has been one season, and a second season is going to be starting in this October for the fall 2016 season. So look forward to that. And the last one I want to talk about is Ao no Kanata no 4 Rhythm. Now this is set in a sort of an alternate universe where anti-gravity shoes have been developed, or grav shoes. And this has led to a new sort of exciting sport called flying circus, where two people compete in sort of a race to touch buoys. There's more rules to it than that, but basically it's a race to touch buoys while flying around, because people can fly in this world. So the series centers around Azuka. She's a transfer student to Kunahama High School, which is located on this 4-island archipelago located right south of Japan. Now, she transfers in and gets this incredible interest in grab shoes and flying circus and tries to basically get into them. She hasn't really used any of these things before. This draws in Masaya, who had at one point in time participated in flying circus, but when he had to suffer this horrible defeat, it actually drove him away from the sport, and he wasn't playing anymore. So Azuka ended up bringing him back in almost, and the two of them form a team for the high school, and then participate in competitions. And they go through a couple of competitions throughout the series, getting better, developing their own techniques and moves, and seeing how they can use them, improving their own abilities. Azuka learned very early on in like a just random challenge against a girl from another high school that she has a gift for this sort of sport. Granted, she has some trouble with some of the basics, but she learns very quickly that she can get good at it very quickly. So this, of course, is sci-fi. It's set in a world where you've got anti-gravity. It's, of course, a sports. It's all about the flying circus. A good chunk of it revolves around this flying circus sport, dealing with this anti-gravity technology. And I would also call it a drama to a little bit. A lot of the characters, especially the people in the team, all have their own problems and stuff that the series does try to work on and resolve, so they improve it. So it has this sort of the dramatic sort of overcoming of their hardships. I would rate this one 3 also. So I forgot to mention the genres for Ajin. So I'm going to mention this now. I didn't want to re-record the entire thing here, so sorry about the little hookup. So I call it an action, first of all. Ajin's very action-based, that the Ajin themselves have to, fight it out, try to battle not only each other, but the government forces to try to stay alive. I would call it supernatural. They have this mysterious ability to heal. They gain these mysterious abilities more than that, more than their immortality. The Black Shadows, which I won't really talk about a lot, but you will see them in the series very early on. And I kind of would call it a light horror. They go through some really bad stuff and some dark things, and there's just these dark, horrific undertones of almost that they themselves are forced to become these monsters and act on it very well. And, that the Black Shadows are kind of these horrific monster versions of themselves only. It's very, very interesting, that one. And so I also rate that one a 3. So that's it for today. I apologize for being a little out of order there, that I had to, put the genres and the rating of Ajin after the rest of them. I've gone over these 3 series, though. I've let you know a little bit about them, reviewed them. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about using them in your BESM games. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. It shows your support for the channel, for the Empire. It shows you that you want me to continue the work I'm doing. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're always looking for more members, more citizens of the Empire. And please share this video if you know anybody that would learn anything from it or would just enjoy watching it. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.